So you've got another installment of Judges for me. Yes, sir, I do. Amazing. So how does this one start off? Literally, the first words are, "The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and for 7 years he gave them into the hands of the Midianites." Good golly, these guys are incorrigible. They aren't the brightest. So God sends some unnamed prophet to give them the whole, "God brought you out of Egypt and helped you steal other people's lands, but you still follow the wrong gods" speech again. Maybe this time, the billionth time they've heard it, they'll listen. And maybe we'll celebrate Christmas on Mars, you never know. Nice one. So anyway, God sends an angel down to recruit a new judge, a guy named Gideon. And what's his deal? He is a nobody, and his clan is the weakest one in their tribe. Like that ever matters. What do you mean? How many times are you going to do the same damn thing? It's always, "We're so small and weak," or "They're so big and strong," and then God waltzes in and games the situation anyway. Oh, that. Many, many times more. Well, okay then. But to your point, sir, we are going to be adding a shocking level of critical thinking skills to some of the characters in this one. How so? Gideon is one of those rare fellows who's willing to ask some hard questions when confronted by supernatural beings. Oh, really? What sort of questions does he ask? Well, when he's approached by an angel from God, he asks, "How do I know you're really an angel from God?" Whoa, Nelly, where has this guy been? I know, right? Wow. Does God smite him on the spot? There's nary a lightning bolt to be seen. Fantastic. So Gideon tells the angel to stay put while he prepares a food offering. Okay. And when Gideon puts the offering on a rock, the angel makes it go poof in a ball of fire. Shazam! And that convinces Gideon that he's truly been in the presence of God. Really? Why would food bursting into flame make him think specifically of Yahweh and not, say, Baal or Dagon or any number of other deities? Unclear. Huh. So anyway, God tells the newly convinced Gideon to tear down some nearby shrine to Baal and replace it with one dedicated to him. Okie dokie. And when Gideon's neighbors find out that he tore down their shrine to Baal, they want him killed. Oh no, so what happens? His dad shows up and defuses the situation by telling them if Baal really is a god, he can defend himself when someone breaks down his altar. Gideon's dad too? These guys are a veritable dynamic duo of rational thinking. I thought you'd like that. Of course, you realize you've opened a door here. I have? If Baal's existence is determined by whether or not he can defend his own altars, wouldn't the same logic apply to Yahweh? Oh. Damn it. There it is. Let's not think about this at all, okay? That sounds like a plan to me. Oh, thank God. So then a bunch of those evil Amalekites and Midianites cross the Jordan and they camp nearby. Oh no! And the Spirit of the Lord comes upon Gideon and he blows a horn to summon several tribes of Israelites to prepare for battle. Ooh, it's getting exciting again. But first, Gideon wants God to jump through some more hoops to prove that he's actually going to help them out. Gideon's kind of a weird mix of skepticism and credulity, isn't he? A delightful blend, some might say. And he devises an ironclad test to determine if God will do what he says he'll do. But I thought we weren't supposed to put God to the test. Oh, yeah. Whoops. Whoopsie. So God is going to be oddly accommodating about this, I just decided. Well, great. You know, this could be a really cool scene if you put the work in. You think? Oh, absolutely. Think of the possibilities. The creator of the universe submitting to a test conducted by a mere human. Right. You could write a scene where Gideon tells God to display a specific power like hitting a temple to Baal with multiple lightning bolts, destroying it utterly. Oh, that would be so cool. Right. Or there could be a nuanced tactical discussion between God and Gideon, a mortal before his creator debating battle strategy. Interesting, interesting. Or if all that's too much effort, just write a scene where God simply appears to the troops of both sides in person. Can you imagine the impact of God himself backing your army like some titan from the tales of yore? Golly! So, what sort of epic test have you come up with here? Gideon sets a fleece on the ground and asks God to make it wet with dew, yet surrounded by dry ground by morning. What? And it works too. He wrings a whole bowl full of water out of it. Okay. And being the good scientist that he is, Gideon wants to double his sample size, and he has God go through the whole test again, except this time by morning, he wants the fleece to be dry and the ground to be wet. And that's what happens. The fleece is dry and the ground is wet by morning. Oh, fleece moisture level testing is tight. Yeah. So what happens next? With the incontrovertible support of God now firmly established, the Israelite horde assembles for battle. Oh boy. And Gideon has about 32,000 soldiers at the ready, but God says that's too many. Really? Why would he say that? God thinks he won't get the credit if the horde simply overwhelms the enemy. Okay. So, to thin out the ranks, God says anyone who's trembling with fear can leave, and 22,000 guys take off. Oh, what an epic walk of shame. And then there's this test where God has Gideon lead his remaining men to a river to drink. What sort of test? The guys who bring the water to their mouths with their hands and lap it up like dogs are to stay for the fight, while those who kneel down and drink directly from the river are told to go home. Seriously, what's the rationale here? Do you really expect me to have an explanation for this? Because I absolutely do not. And who even laps water from their hand like a dog? Can a human tongue even do that? Anyway, the test leaves 300 men to fight. This is super hard. Have you tried it? Look, it really doesn't matter. That does not work. And you're saying 300 guys drank their water this way. Can we just move on? Like a dog. Yes. So then, from 10,000 guys, maybe one weirdo does it that way, but everyone else is just going to snork it up in the usual fashion. 300 guys lap it up like dogs, and you're just going to have to deal with it. What is going on? Because this dog lapping makes no sense. It's sort of a good news, bad news thing. Okay, Larry's back. Oh, our favorite meth-smoking Bible resource has resurfaced. I assume that's the good news. More or less, but something happened while he was gone because he now identifies as a half-man, half-canine demigod named Frunobulax. Frunobulax. Yes, and he insisted this is how Gideon should pick his final champions. Well, the lapping thing makes a bit more sense now. All hail Frunobulax. And God, of course. Of course. Larry does bring pizza and beer. Oh, what a good boy he is. Oh, yes, hims is. Yeah, so, 300 guys. Now that the Israelites are down to so few, isn't it going to be impossible for them to prevail in battle even with their agile, dog-like tongues? Actually, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yep, because God games the situation and uses his dark Jedi powers to mind control the Midianites so that they turn on each other. And hack each other to pieces, and hack each other to pieces. So after the horde has mopped up any survivors, the decapitated heads of the Midianite leaders are brought to Gideon. Nice. And Gideon's work is finally finished after he kills all the men in the neutral town of Peniel because they refused to give bread to his men. Peniel wasn't an enemy. They just didn't want to feed this passing group of 300 men. That's right. And Gideon murdered them? Correct. Oh, savage. Yeah, for a guy who was the least in his clan and whose clan was the least in their tribe, he's really gotten on board with Yahweh's extreme violence doctrine. Aw, good for him. So, yeah, Israel has peace for 40 years, and Gideon dies at a ripe old age after having 70 sons with his many wives and his concubine. He espouses good old-fashioned family values too. What a wonderful example of Israelite manhood. That he is. So, that's about it. What do you think? You've delivered a really exemplary judge here. Thank you. A true role model for the chosen people, sure to stand the test of time. Like I said before, his name is going to become practically synonymous with this book. It's great to see God's people finally on the right path. Yeah, about that.